So that's not serious talk. It's just for, I think, my friends and people in Russia, I believe, who can speak English a little bit like me.
Yeah.
And maybe for some international, not Sangha, but people who would like to find some instrument to maybe make their suffering less, or maybe not to be always in their mind. So I have a pleasure to speak with Corey Jackson, who had a very nice course for 3 days, and it was said that it is a short course, but for me it was like very long, but very profound. I loved it.
Great, great. Yeah, it was a nice group. It was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So the name of the course was Buddhism and Science, and many people believe that Buddhism is something like a religion, and it is not connected with reality, because there is, for many people, the reality they need to work in, to go to and make some stuff, and there are some superstitions and spiritual things that are not connected. And as I see, the science can connect the life and the actual path to some understanding.
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, I got involved in Buddhism because I wanted to learn to meditate. And so I started some psychology people, some sort of new agey things that I didn't like. And then I at some point I found some Tibetan teachers, and I knew I didn't want to be Buddhist, but I did want to learn to meditate. And when I went, I liked them because they didn't care that I didn't want to be Buddhist. They just wanted to help. And so what I really wanted, because I was a musician, right? So I did a music degree in Canada, and I really wanted to be able to focus better and play piano. So that was my thing. I thought if I can focus better, things would go well for me. And what I didn't expect is when I learned to like meditate and do this attention training, all these other aspects of my life improved, which like my relationships, and I had some anxiety and stress, that would come up from time to time, and all this disappeared. So that got me really interested. So, you don't have to, you don't even have to believe any of it, of the Buddhist side of things, to get benefit from the practices they're talking about. And truly, Buddhists shouldn't care if you're Buddhist or not. If they come to you and they say, I think that what you know something that might help, it's up to us to try to help. And so the meditation, just the way they explained it was so simple. I saw the benefits in my own life. So of course I followed it up. I came here and I studied and I learned Tibetan language and all this stuff. No one has to do that, I just came and there's enough in just the really basic understanding of the mind and stress and how meditation can help, that people can get without delving into things that make them uncomfortable, which superstition, things people think are superstitious. Of course, I don't think anymore, but I understand why people do, because I used to. So there's so much scope to just get some benefit in your daily life just from some of the basics, and then it's up to people to decide, do you want to know more and go deeper, or are you getting enough doing this? For me, I recommend the thing that attracted me as well is that even though it has aspects I didn't believe in at first, it has this long history that is still here, 2,500 years, so that worked for me. You've been doing this for this long, and it's still going. So, that kind of worked for me, whereas other new agey things that are just popping up now didn't really have they didn't have the depth or the momentum, and that Buddhism did. So, I stuck with it, but I think you can get benefit from this without buying into any of the Buddhist stuff. And I recommend you try,
So we can say that meditation is the main instrument of Buddhism, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Remember, when you translate from Sanskrit or Tibetan, this word meditation, it translates much better as cultivation or familiarization. So yes, it is the main instrument, but it's not often what we think in the West, because we're thinking actually what it is about cultivating, developing a sense of being able to stay calm mentally no matter what's going on, cultivating sense of concern and compassion for others. That's what meditation is for. It's not just, sitting around, following your breath, or in English we say navel gazing. I don't know if you, It's not this. It's like the cultivation of qualities. And so this makes a difference too, is when you sit down, you think, why am I doing this? So I'm doing this because actually, if I can sit here and just breathe naturally and rest, even though my mind's racing, but if I can do it here and rest, then over time I'll get better and better, and I can bring the calm and the clarity that I'm getting here into all the stress in the outside world. So it's this idea of cultivating, not just meditating,
So you say that meditation is cultivating of compassion. What else?
Sure. Mindfulness and introspection. So that's attention skills, we say. So that what that means is, so in my work is in the PhD, what that means for us is, say, having people that you're having better attention skills helps people prevent or stop difficult emotional reactions that are happening. So you think about it like this: emotions. There's my work, anxiety and depression, most of my research, and so there's a lot of anxiety and depression symptoms. Actually, if you look a bit further back, you say, well, the anxiety is sort of being driven by fear. It's like emotions are driving that. Or in terms of depression, it's like sadness is out of control and it's driving into depression. So we look at emotions. What can we learn about emotions? And this psychology has a lot to say. There's a lot to learn. Is there something driving the emotions? Oh, yeah, actually your attention is. Because your attention being constantly drifting and captured is the core element of emotional reactions. So you say, well, let's not worry about the symptoms of anxiety, depression. Let's not get too involved in the emotions. Let's look at the attention. And for me, so this is where it's up to other people to decide. For me, I looked around. Who seems to be the best at the attention training? Who's the most logical and the most effective? And I tried them. For me, it's the Tibetans. It won't be for everyone. For me, it was, And so that's why this idea of what you would cultivate is you're cultivating these attention skills, this stable attention. But why, right? Why would you do that? Well, you would do that because if your attention is under your control and you can stay relaxed in stressful situations, this pathway from your attention to emotions to anxiety and depression is cut. And why is it cut? Because you managed to spend 15 minutes a day cultivating attention. Honestly, the pandemic and this that's going on of anxiety and depression in the world could be pulled back with 15 minutes a day.
So you mentioned that you found what you were looking for in Tibetan Buddhism. What can you say about the difference between Tibetan Buddhism and the other one?
Yeah, well, there's lots of other ones. When Buddhism left India and it went to Burma, like Myanmar and Thailand and Sri Lanka and Indonesia even, and Japan and China, and it sort of took on aspects of the culture as it went, And so as it's coming, so I live in Australia, so as it's coming to Australia, it's taking on aspects of the culture there too. So the difference between them is partly cultural. So it's nice to sort of, if you're from anywhere in the West or Europe or wherever, Buddhism's going to have some culture to it that's going to seem strange, of course, So I think it's helpful to decide if there's a culture that doesn't cause you any real stress, Say I live in Australia, lots of Australians go to Thailand. It's a great place for a holiday. So a lot of Australians don't mind the Thai culture mixed in, But it's just a matter, in my opinion, if the culture needs to resonate so you're comfortable, but then the difference will be in the way they teach. So if you go, I started off in Zen, Japanese Zen, and they're very strict. So like sit, you just sit, and you have a question, just sit. I have a question, no, sit. Whereas the Tibetans are like, if you have a question, they're like, okay. They like to debate, and so that worked for me. Other people love the strict, So it's nice to try them out and just see, is there not too much cultural baggage, and does the techniques they're trying to do, the practices they're trying to get you to do, make you comfortable, then yeah, you stay. And it will be different for everyone,
Is there the difference in the method of meditation?
Yeah, there is. There's an underlying sort of baseline where this idea of mindfulness training, right, that happens everywhere. But even then, Thailand do it differently to Tibet, who do it differently than Japan, But there is across the board an idea that that bringing your attention under your control has this payoff, And in terms of, there's always these three aspects we talk about, like ethics and like mindfulness, like you talk about ethics and stabilized attention and wisdom and understanding, They all have this wrapped up, but they look very different in different cultures. But fundamentally, yeah, this idea that if I could control my attention and stay relaxed, then I probably wouldn't accidentally go and have emotional reactions or stress reactions that might cascade into more stress, and then I cause you stress, then you get stressed and cause other people stress. Whereas actually, rather than setting off these chain reactions, I could actually, firstly, by being relaxed and calm, stop setting all these off, and then actually be a voice of reason and a positive influence in my community as I operate out there. Not by telling everyone about meditation and Buddhism, but by the way I act. This is really important for us. It's not about trying to convert people. It's about people thinking, well, you seem calm and relaxed. How did you do that?
And you say that 15 minutes a day can make the world better. If we don't do this chain reaction. And is there some simple way to begin?
Yeah, and the simple way to begin is with 5 minutes, even though research tells us 12 minutes is kind of the minimum. If you do 12 minutes a day, you'll have an effect. My observation for teaching, for however long, 15 years or so, 15 minutes a day really does have an effect for people. But actually, you should probably start with less. You should start with maybe 2 5-minute sessions, And yeah, really simply, just by being able to sit in a chair or somewhere like this, as long as you can sit with your back kind of straight and comfortable, you can lie down. In yoga, we do this shavasana, which is like, it means corpse pose, And so you can do shavasana too. And actually just try to follow the movement of the body as it breathes in and out. That's enough. You do that for 5 minutes. And what you'll learn, if you don't know already, is it's quite hard, and your mind your attention keeps getting pulled away, So doing it for short periods of time, over a week and 2 weeks, you start to get better at it. Then you get longer sessions, and then your meditation gets better. But what we're interested in is, bringing the benefit of the meditation up off the cushion here. And so I often say yes, there's a simple way to get started, very simple breathing meditation. You can do it lying down. You don't have to sit like this, You can do it lying down. And then what we want to watch for is my meditation improving? Am I gaining more and more control over my attention? Yes. And then over time, am I actually in more control of my emotional reactions as well? And then you can watch these two things as you improve. You can kind of get excited, everyone likes being better at things, I do. So you can get excited about getting better at meditating. Cool, But you can also get excited that, I'm less stressed and I'm more relaxed. I'm not starting arguments or whatever, whatever you're after. So, you can start simple, but I think when you start, you have to know what to look for. People say, I'm just going to meditate, but you need to know what to do and what benefit should you expect from doing it. No one should be meditating if they don't understand why it will help. And one easy way that we can use, and psychology has a lot to say, is emotional reactions. It's a really simple, clear, easy thing to talk about. If you can stay relaxed and your attention under your control, you will start to notice that your emotional reactions dial down and you're in more control. And then you'll get more enthusiastic about meditating, and you do more meditation, and it works like this. But you just start 5-6 minutes a day, and away you go.
And usually if the person is not acquainted with the meditation, he tries to sit, but his mind starts to wander. What to do? Maybe
Two things, okay? One, notice your mind's wandering. It's helpful. We think, we all think that, you know, we have, if I want to do something, that I can control my attention, and we're wrong, right? So actually, just first and foremost, just notice, wow, when I try to do this thing, it should be so simple, you know, just gonna, there's sensations of the body here, I'm just gonna follow them, and, you know, and then you find you can't. Just notice that that happened. In order to get better, of course, you can do a few things. One thing is really helpful is, you know, as you breathe out, and you can sort of relax. Most of us are agitated, you know. So you can just use that exhalation, and you relax the body, and as you do so, the mind just relaxes more and more and more. You don't want to go to sleep, of course, but more and more. So there's this. And the other thing we do in this tradition, you know, we spend a bit of time, we scan through the body, right? And we look, often people get tense. So as I'm following the breath, and then my mind wanders off, you know, you tend to get tense somewhere in your body too. So you start to notice that. So then you say, so you get these two things. I notice my mind's wandering, so I sort of relax the body. But the other way too, I notice my body's getting tense, so I look at my attention and I bring them down. And the more familiar you get with this, the more this is really useful in the outside world. So I'm in a stressful meeting, you know, and let's say it's my shoulder. Let's say when I meditate, my shoulder gets tense, or, you know, maybe my cheek or something, and I know that now I'm going to be distracted. So then I'm in a difficult meeting and I feel the tension happening. I know what to do. I do the same thing in the meeting that I would do in the meditation, which is just relax, you know, just scan the body and relax. So this idea again of cultivation that you're doing on the cushion is in order so that you cultivate it so that you will do it in the outside world. And of course then it's the same again. You start to notice you're in more control in meetings or in stressful situations, you get more interested in the meditation, and you see these two results like this. I had one person I taught in a course, and they had done 2 or 3 weeks, and they said that in this meeting at work, they got really heated, you know, so all these emotions flying, and he was really amazed because it's the first time he saw all the emotions happening, because normally he was one of the emotional people as well. And so he's sort of just through meditating, you know, 15 minutes a day for a few weeks, he said, wow, I watched this whole thing happen and I could step back. And of course, when everyone calmed down, like he was the only one who hadn't upset anyone, so everyone listened to him. So there's these other sort of advantages, you know, of just being the voice of reason, you know, in English we say, of just being calm and allowing other things to play out for other people. Then more and more you get, how to say it, you get a little bit more, you can be more of a positive influence in your community or your workspace or your family or wherever.
Some people might think that if you meditate and so you step out of emotions, it's like you step out of the life, and because they think that the emotions is life.
Yeah, I hear this all the time. The thing is, if you meditate even for months regularly, it won't stop the emotions arising, right? So you still feel a bit of anger, and it's helpful. We need emotions, you know. If you're driving a car and a child runs out in front, you know, it's actually, we know that's a fear response, and a fear response automatically makes you do these things without thinking, and it saves your life and the child's life. Like, you know, emotions are helpful. You'll still feel them. What it will give you that's important is a choice in how you respond. So if my attention is not controlled and I just keep getting emotional, and it's my attention's out of control, I'm not in control of what I say and do. Whereas what meditation does means I can still feel the emotion, so I know something important's happening. So like I'm angry or I'm afraid, I know something important's happening, but now rather than this sort of tunnel vision that pushes me through my behavior, what I have are choices. You know, and I can analyze in say anxiety. One of the causes of anxiety is we say overestimate, I don't know, a threat, for example. You know, so if I'm a bit nervous about dogs, then little dogs seem big. You know, sleeping dogs seem menacing. You know, like we do this, and what this will do is that even though you have the fear response, you can double check. You know, is this rational? Does this make sense? And if not, again, you've cut this pathway that can lead to anxiety, you know. And you can do this with all these emotions, so that what emotions do is they arise and you feel them, and that's fine, and then it drives you into behavior that you can choose, and it motivates you to do things that are going to be hopefully beneficial for you, right? And maybe even beneficial for the people around you. So it's not about becoming unemotional, which is impossible anyway, right? It's about using emotions for what they evolved for. The reason emotions are to let you know that something important is happening. That's what emotions are for. They're not. Then you can decide what to do next. But in the 21st century, with mobile apps and all this stuff, our attention's so scattered. Every emotion drives us into this. We call it automatized, like automatic habits. It doesn't have to be like this. I can have an emotional response, so I still live this full emotional life, but now I choose what to do next in such a way that maybe is beneficial, and emotions actually start to be the fuel and the momentum that actually helps me live a more constructive life, a less stressful life, and even be of more benefit to the people around me.
Okay. So can we say that the meditation helps us to bring our attention back to our control?
Absolutely. Which is, as I said before, that's the key element of emotion. So your attention's under your control. And if the thing about controlled attention is you can do whatever you like with it. So now that I'm emotional, I bring my attention under my control, but now I can go back out and see what's going on. Like this friend of mine in the office, right? He's got this argument happen. So he's all caught up in the argument. He relaxes, and brings his attention back. He can see what's happening, and he either can see a skillful way to help, or he can just at least not create more fuel for the fire, right? He can step back and wait for it to die down and try to be helpful. So it's two things. Yes, you can pull your attention back, of course, but then you can also put it back out and understand better what's happening. And that just makes you more skillful the way you deal with people. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Pese. Thanks so much for your time here. It was great having the questions. Yeah.